Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm just going to warn you, this is going to be the start of a dazzled or disappointment bombardment practically, because I have so much to share with you as far as dazzled or disappointeds because of all of the holiday releases that have been coming out. So I hope you're ready. There's a lot of good stuff to come in the weeks to come, especially these next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for today's Dazzled or Disappointed. It's going to be on the Marc Jacobs Eyeconic Eyeshadow palette, which is this baby right here. It is the first Marc Jacobs eyeshadow palette that I have picked up, the first holiday one, the first one in general. I love Marc Jacobs products. I'm not usually disappointed, so I was kind of intrigued by the packaging. I didn't pick up last year's or the year before because I wasn't just super crazy about the color scheme. This year's had a little bit of brighter colors, so it really caught my attention. But let's be real, $99 isn't something we're looking to plop down on an eyeshadow palette every day. So I have thoughts for you. I have swatches coming up. It's what I'm wearing on my eyes today, just so that you kind of have an idea. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this review so that you can find out if this is worth your while. It just launched on Sephora's website today, which is Saturday, I think today's the 16th. And so this way you know whether you should pick it up or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so let me go ahead and give you the description on the Sephora website. It's a limited edition palette of 20 plush eyeshadows in luxurious finishes to create endless looks for day or night. Style your eyes for every possible occasion with this versatile palette. An extension of the popular Eyeconic collection, this holiday palette features new, updated eyeshadow formulas with advanced pigments that allow true color payoff and lasting performance. You'll go wild for 18 completely new shades. You'll go wild and animal print, zebra print, get it? I'm fascinated by the smallest, dumbest things. And 4 fashion finishes like sequin and lame. The oversized shiny zebra print palette is organized into 5 eye collections to express your beauty with high style. Let me see. So what else you need to know? Marc Jacobs Beauty Holiday Collections features sleek, sexy prints hand-selected by Marc from his extensive fabric archives. Layer up on luxe with indulgent beauty sets and exclusive new shades designed for you to go all out and surrender to your most decadent instincts. Okay guys, so like I said, this one is $99. It's a little steep, I know. And this coming from the girl who's paid $129 for Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, and I understand that that's not something I hardly ever do. Usually for me, like $69 is a lot of money for an eyeshadow palette. So this is one of the items I wanted to pick up. It does come, like I said, as you can see, in this animal print right there. And then you've got the shades on the back. Last year's was in a gold packaging, and the year before may have been, I keep on thinking white, but I think it's because the summer collection was white. So I think the first one might have been black. But this bad boy, let's see, comes like this. So just like the box. And so it's really, really pretty. That's one of the reasons I was so sucked in. I was like, ooh, pretty packaging. Oh my gosh, never a good idea to buy something just based on the packaging, but story of my life. On the back of the palette, you do have a picture of the eyeshadow, or I guess kind of like the way the eyeshadows are formatted. They each have a number, and it is called the Wild One eyeshadow palette. So open it up, and if you're familiar with Marc Jacobs products, you know that they have awesome mirrors because it covers the entire inside of that front. And then you do get the very luxurious black Marc Jacobs insert in there, which I tend to love. I keep those because I feel like, one, they just make it feel so much more luxurious, but two, I think they're good quality, so they kind of keep the powder housed in here. And then you get 20 eyeshadows right here. So let me take you into these so that you can kind of see what they look like. Like I said, the last couple of years have been a little bit more like on the darker side, a little on the smokier side. So I tend to not gravitate towards those as much unless they're super stellar standout shades. This one had quite a few of bright colors, and so I already knew that I wanted to pick it up, and I picked it up at the Rouge event. I will tell you though that I was a little bit when I saw it in person, I was a little bit disappointed because if you look at the picture online on the Sephora website, the shades look so much more vibrant, but that's, I was gonna say always. It's not always the case. It's very often the case that the shades you see pictured on the Sephora website are not the same that are gonna be in the palette. They can be a little bit different, a little bit of a, I don't wanna say a letdown, but a little bit more muted. Trying to think of how I can even put this, but a little bit more muted maybe, and that was the case with this one. So still, formulation is really, really nice. So let me start with swatches, and then I will go ahead and take you into my thoughts. Okay, the way this is set up is that it goes, so if you look at it from the back of the palette, let me just show you. It is going to go in rows down this way. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 instead of this way, which is the way I am used to swatching and kind of looking at palettes, but it's formulated or it's designed that way. So I am going to take you down the first row, second row, third row, fourth row, and that way I don't confuse anybody, because I could totally even confuse myself with this. So let's just go ahead and start with the first one. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that when you swatch these, they are so very buttery, but it's my understanding these are that's very consistent with Marc Jacobs eyeshadows. I think they're supposed to be very buttery, very smooth. That's what makes them very luxurious and very nice. So here is the first row. These types of shades are my favorites, the kinds that just look really foiled and shiny, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to pick up the palette, was because there were quite a few of them and I figured I could get a lot of use out of that. Here is row number 2. And then just as a reminder, when I rub my finger in the pan, I don't dig really deep. I kind of just go on the top. And then this is one swipe across my hand. I don't go back and forth. Just want to point that out so that you have an idea of what the pigmentation is like. Here we go with the third row. I will point out that this shade right here, which is the second shade of that third row, so it's basically right smack in the middle of the palette, it is what I'm wearing on my lids today, and it reminds me so much of MAC's Blue Brown Pigment. Not identical, but very similar in the way it's got that almost like a reddish blue brown that, you know, I feel like MAC came out with that and then a lot of brands followed suit, but that's very, in my opinion, very similar, and that's what that row looks like. Okay, and there you go. This one being the one I pointed out to you about being similar to MAC's Blue Brown Pigment. Again, not identical, because I know I'll get comments saying, no, they're very different, and so I'm not saying they're exactly the same. Just saying that MAC's Blue Brown Pigment was kind of innovative. You know, it's been out for a while, good while. It was so innovative, and it's got that duochrome and that shift, and so a lot of brands really have followed suit with kind of similar looking eyeshadows. Okay, next to last row looks like this. I will tell you, this is the shade that was kind of like the standout shade. Everyone was gravitating towards this shade at the Rouge event. Everybody wanted to swatch that one, and so I will get you thoughts on that here in a second, because that is one of the ones that intrigued me the most as well, given the fact that it is so sparkly. But here's what that looks like right there. This being the shade that I just talked about. And then we're down to the last row, and this is what this looks like. You've got this matte right here that's almost like a kind of a hybrid between a turquoise and a blue, and then you've got a blue right here, a dark blue that's got some silver flecks of shimmer. And then of course you've got a silver in there, because you can't have a holiday palette without a silver shade. And this is what those look like. So you can already tell that matte shade right there is very, very patchy. You can see my hand or my skin tone through that shade. It's not very opaque, but that is what that looks like right there. Okay guys, we have gone through all 20 shades of this eyeshadow palette. It is now time to go through my thoughts to let you know if I was dazzled or disappointed by this little guy right here. I will zoom you in a second so that you can see the eye look that I did, but I do want to point out the shades that I used. So like I said, all over my lid I used that Blue Brown Pigment I'm going to refer to it like that right there. And then in my crease as kind of a transition shade, I used this shade right here, a good little neutral fawn type shade. And then on the center of my lid, I did use that, what I consider to be the, you know, shade that everybody's gravitating towards, that one right there with all the sparkle. It's almost like a coppery pink sparkle shade. Now, I will tell you, I used both of these wet. I did wet my brush and go into it. I don't see that it developed any kind of hard pan. And after I went in with a wet brush, I had to go in for, you know, a little bit of a touch up on top with a dry brush, and I did not have any issues. So it seems to take a wet brush okay. No hard pan as of yet, which is nice. Now, today was the first day that I used them wet. The past few days I've been using them dry, so of course no issue there usually with hard pan. Sometimes you can get hard pan with a dry brush, not near as often as when you use a wet brush. Also, in my crease to deepen it up, I did use a combination of these two shades right here, this turquoise blue and then this dark blue. I kind of mixed those shades on a pencil brush and put them in my crease to kind of deepen it up, just because I wasn't really feeling the look that I had come up with today, because it was missing something, and that was what it was missing. Also, this white shade right over here is what I am wearing on my brow bone, and this, let's see, next to it there's like almost like a green, it's like a white based green shade. And I have that on my inner corner. So I was able to use quite a few shades today. Again, I've been using this throughout the week. This past week, dry, not using wet brushes. So let me go ahead and zoom you in, and then I'll go ahead and give you my final thoughts on this palette. So, like I said, I used that blue-brown pigment on the lid, that coppery one in the middle. I used a that fawn type transition shade in my crease, and then I mixed those two blues and put it up here in the crease as well, just to kind of deepen it up. Just to let you know, on my lower lash line, or actually on my waterline, I am wearing a Sephora blue eyeliner. So, and I'm sorry the light is so bright, and I just did not get good news this morning about my little guy, about my dog. So it's been a really sad morning, a lot of crying. So my eyes are a little sensitive to the light right now, and I don't think my eyes are really appreciating the fact that I put contact lenses in. Anyway, so that's why it's like, ugh, I feel like I need sunglasses to film this video. So I'm sorry about that. I feel like this whole video I've been kind of like, it hurts. Okay guys, so let me go ahead and give you my thoughts on this. Now this eyeshadow palette, as I say, this shade palette, this eyeshadow palette was $99. And in all honesty, my expectations were high because it's Marc Jacobs. I pretty much have loved every Marc Jacobs product I have ever picked up. Lipsticks, face products, like his glosses, his lipsticks, liquid lipsticks. Let's see, I've got like the blush, bronzer. I love Marc Jacobs products, so I really had the same expectation for this, especially because it's $99. I do realize it's a more luxury brand, and so they're very buttery and very smooth. And I love the colors in here. So it's one of those things where when you have to decide, when you tell yourself, you know what, let me try it again tomorrow and maybe I'll truly love it then. Let me give it another try. When you have to tell yourself that, then that means you're not truly dazzled by it. And I'm sad to tell you that I'm not dazzled. I'm highly disappointed, and it's getting 5 stars on Sephora.com. I've heard conflicting things about that. I've heard Sephora takes down the negative reviews and kind of, you know, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that people are loving it, apparently. I don't know. I think the formulation is great. They're so soft. They pick up well on the brush. They perform pretty well wet, decent wet. But the thing about it is they look so pigmented, and they swatch pretty pigmented on my hand, but something gets lost in translation when I use my brush. And then I've tried it a couple of times with my fingers. It's okay, you know, it's not anything out of this world. I don't know, I just feel like there's so many other better options out there, which breaks my heart to say, because I don't know if you were looking forward to this palette as much as I was, but if you want my honest opinion, I'd save the money and put it towards something else. Maybe, I still need to review for you the Lila palette by Natasha Denona, but depending on that, that might be a better option for which to plop down your hard-earned cash, or even something less expensive. You know, I feel like you can get a lot of good things out there for quite a bit less than this was. I'm so sad to tell you that this shade right here, the coppery shade that everyone was gravitating to, it's not very opaque. It's actually, in my opinion, quite sheer. It just does not go on the lid as, you know, beautiful as it is in the pan. I don't know. So I just, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. This matte right here, super patchy. There are some that are really nice. I do like this one that I have in the inner corner, that kind of green-white shade. This one right here, which is kind of like a green, the champagne color. There are a handful that I do like, but it's one of those things where I don't like it enough to pay $99 for it. You know what I'm saying? So, it's one of those things where I feel a little bit like I cannot give you absolutely full, not necessarily review, but in a way, because this is the first eyeshadow palette that I have purchased and used from Marc Jacobs. So it could be that maybe prior holiday palettes were better. It could be that maybe the long ones that they sell in the permanent line perform better. I'm not sure. Because I don't have those others to compare to, I cannot tell you whether this is on par with those, whether it's different. I'm not sure. But coming at this for the first time, I'm disappointed. It didn't leave a very good first impression. And like I said, it's very surprising to me because I love Marc Jacobs products. I cannot go wrong with a Marc Jacobs product. Wasn't as crazy about this one. I think you can forego this. I'm trying to think if there are any other thoughts. Yes, I do have one other thought that came to my mind the other day as I was, you know, trying to choose what I wanted to use as a transition shade. There's not a whole lot of transition shades. Usually that doesn't bother me, but for whatever reason I'm thinking, well, I've got this one, the one I'm wearing in my crease, it's a little on the darker side. And then you've got this one. This one's a great transition color right there. And then this one's a little too light for me to use as a transition shade, so I end up having to use it more as like a smooth all over my lid type thing on top of my primer. So other than that, there really are not any transition shades, matte transition shades I should say. Keep in mind, for those of you who really look for a black eyeshadow in your palettes, I don't care. I have so many black eyeshadows that to me, it's like I'm happy when they don't put one in. I'd rather, you know, an actual pop of color than the black, but there is no black eyeshadow in here. So if you do look for that in your eyeshadow palettes, keep that in mind as well. The other thing I mentioned in my haul, I don't know how well this cover will hold up, especially for those of y'all who travel with your makeup, with your palettes, etc. Because honestly, mine came with a couple of nicks. This is like a paint. And I don't know how the gold one last year held up for y'all, for those of you who purchased it, but just to give you an idea, like look, it's nicked right there. There's a nick that you might not even be able to tell, but it's right there on the silver. So it already came that way, and I haven't even traveled with it, thrown this, and you know, not thrown it, but like thrown it in my bag kind of thing. So anyways, guys, I hope this has been helpful. I know, you know, before I'm trying to spend $100 on an eyeshadow palette, I try my best to kind of research what's out there, because even though I do love picking up these items to review for you guys, because I know, help me help you kind of thing, it is a lot of money. And I mean, I buy all this stuff on my own, and so when you're semi on a budget, I say that, you know, because obviously, I mean, I've had hauls so I'm not trying to say I'm on a budget and look at all the makeup I buy. No, I'm just saying that like I buy this stuff with my own money, and so $100 is a lot of money, especially when you don't really like something as much. I'm sad to say that. Anyways, so I hope this review has been helpful for you if you were looking into possibly picking that bad boy up this holiday season. There's plenty of other options, and I have other reviews coming up, so it might be that you'll want to put your money towards one of those items instead of that. So stay tuned. So many more Dazzleds or Disappointeds coming your way. Before I let you guys go, I have to give you the verse of the day, and today's comes from Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7. And it says, "In everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." I'm just going to tell you that verse. I literally opened my, I usually use my Bible because it's got like, in artwork, it's got verses on the sides of the pages, and I love that because I can, you know, pick one out pretty easily for you guys. But I also use when I give y'all Bible verses, I use a book called Bible Promises for You, and it's from the NIV version. And so it literally is a book to where there is, you know, something for every part of life. When you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling angry, when you need peace, that kind of thing. So like I told you, I've had a really rough morning, but I literally opened this book up and I thought, okay, I'm going to read this verse today, and it was actually it was meant for me. I hope it was meant for one of y'all out there as well. If you're going through hard times, you know, prayer is the most powerful thing. And so if you have something that seems impossible going on in your life, just pray about it. God is the God of the impossible. He can make impossible things happen. Now, it doesn't mean he always does, because his plan, he knows the plan for our life, and we may not know it. You know, he knows what is best, but he can make the impossible possible. One of you ladies, I have you in mind, because I know you've been going through, I won't say your name, I know you've been going through some hardships. You know, keep on praying. God can make a successful pregnancy possible. Just keep on praying. I am praying for you. But in addition to that, there is peace that only God can give. Sometimes our hearts are so crushed or broken, and he can give that peace, and it's an amazing peace. So I hope this has spoken to somebody out there, to one of you. I hope it was meant for you as just as much as it was meant for me today. I honestly did not expect to give you that verse today. I was about to film, and I popped that book open, and I was like, okay, I'll give this verse, because I love the book of Philippians, and it just happened to be meant for me as well. So guys, I hope you'll consider subscribing if you're new to my channel. I would love to have you on this YouTube journey with me. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful or useful in your holiday makeup search. And if you're looking to find me on Instagram, you can find me at Michelle's Glamour. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. It's always so much fun talking to you. Thank you guys for sticking out this video with me. I will talk to you soon in the very next video. Bye guys.